For today's video, I'm going to make a tutorial video about chapter 6. 6? So if you're interested in this video, please keep on watching. Chapter 6 discuss about network layer. So, a network layer provides the means of transferring transferring variable length network interface packets from a source to destination host, one or more networks. Within the service layering semantics of the OSI network architecture, the network layer responds to service requests from the transport layer, initiates service request to data link layer. Functions of the network layer includes connectionless communication. For example, IP is connectionless in that data packet can travel from a sender to a recipient without the recipient having to send an acknowledgement. Connection-oriented protocols exist at other higher layers of the OSI model. Host addressings. Every host in network must have a unique address that determines the address is normally assigned from an hierarchically system. For example, you can be Predmar P1, and street, and so on. Message forwarding. Since many networks are partitions into subnetworks and connects to other networks for a wide area communication, network use specialized hosts called gateways or routers to forward packets between between networks. The network layers is primarily concerned with the passing data from a source to the destinations on another network. IP addresses supplies unique identifiers for the source and destination. The network layers provides connectionless, best effort delivery. Devices rely on higher layers to supply services to processes. The data link layers indicates to the network layer the MTU for the medium that is being used. The network layers uses that information to determine how large the packet can be when it is forwarded. When packets are received on one medium and forwarded on a medium with a smaller MTU, the network layer device can fragment the packet to accommodate the smaller size. A default gateway address allows a switch to forward packets that originates on the switch to remote networks. A default gateway address on switch does not provide layer 3 routing for PCs that are connected on that switch. The switch can still accessible from telnet as long as the source of the telnet connection is on a local network. So, NAT or network address translation is process of modifying the IP packet header information on a packet going outside the corporate network. Corporate networks typically use private addresses on an inside LAN and need a public address to be able to communicate through a WAN. When a router receives a packet, the router will decrement the time to leave or TTL filled by 1. When the field reaches 0, the receiving router will discard the packet and will send the ICMP time exceeded message to the sender. The iOS image is typically stored in a flash memory. If the image is not in flash memory when the router boots, the router bootstrap program can look for it on a TFTP server. The function of the network layer protocol specifies the packet structures and processing used to carry the data from one host to another host. The actual communication data is encapsulated in the network layer PDU. The features of its operation without regard to the data carried in each packet allows the network layer to carry packets for multiple types of communications. The iOS file is stored in a flash memory and copied into RAM during the boot up. The IP routing table is also stored in a RAM. The basic diagnostic software is stored in ROM, and startup configuration file is stored in NVRAM. The startup configuration file is stored in NVRAM and contains the commands needed in initially configure a router. It also creates the running configuration file that is stored in RAM. Router interfaces can be grouped into two categories. LAN interfaces used for connecting cables that terminate with LAN devices such as computers, switches, and switches. This interface can also be used to connect routers to each other. WAN interfaces used for connecting routers to external networks, usually over larger geographical distance. The functions of the network layer protocol specifies the packet structures and processing used to carry data from one host to another host. The actual communication data is encapsulated in the network layer PDU. The feature of its operations without regard to the data carried in each packet allows the network layer to carry packets for multiple types of communication. It is the protocol field in IP header that identifies the upper layer protocol. The packet is carrying the version field that identifies the IP version. The differential device services field is used to setting the packet priority. The identification field is used to reorder fragmented packets. There are three major steps of the router to boot sequence. First is to perform the power on self-test or post. Next is load the IOS from flash or TFTP server. Then the third one is load the startup configuration file from NVRAM. When connectionless protocols is used at a lower layer of OSI model, how is missing data detected and retransmitted if necessary? When the connectionless protocols are in use at a lower layer of the OSI model, upper level protocol may need to